Hello everyone and welcome to the garage, which if you remember was our next location. There's supposed to be people hiding drugs up in here, specifically weed. This is the first mission where we had to buy information about the location of collectibles and the security camera and the first aid. We're going to want to get all of those. The stages early in the game aren't very complex. They're not laid out too confusing or anything, but the levels gradually become more maze-like the further you go in. But thanks to the really helpful minimap, this never becomes frustrating. So there's a sweet spot, as far as the handgun is concerned, where you can still deal a decent amount of damage to enemies, but they will miss you completely because they're just so far away. If you ever get in too much trouble early in the game, that's always an option. Just stay back as far as possible and use your handgun, so far back that the enemies cannot actually hurt you. Or at least hurt you very little. That was an explosive barrel, but we didn't put it to very good use. Hopefully we'll do that later. Cars are some of the most useful cover because they block a lot of enemy bullets due to their weird shape. Enemies have a really hard time shooting around them, so they usually just run out in the open instead. Which is good for us, obviously, not so good for them. I do feel like a significant amount of work was put into crafting the level design and environments in this game. The problem is that early in the game you don't get such a hot impression of the level design or environments, because they save all the interesting looking ones for later. The game gets really, really good about halfway through, but you have to make it halfway through to get there, so there's that. I'm not saying the early game is bad by any means, because it's definitely not. Also, I thought I did really well, but I forgot this guy back here. I was so excited, because I did that almost without getting hit at all, and then I forgot this fellow. I went ahead and recorded pretty far into the game, so it's weird looking back on this recording and being like, man, I was such an idiot. But you know, learning to grow with the game is part of the fun. So even though I could go back and do this better, I'm not going to, because it's good enough for now. You might have noticed a camera detecting us back near the start of this level, and that's unavoidable, but it does introduce us to the camera mechanics. On the map we can look and see where exactly we can shut the cameras down at because we bought that information. And if we do that, we'll have to fight way less enemies, which is, you know, good. So you might have noticed that this time around we have a shotgun, and it's the best. It's very strong, but like all shotguns in video games, unlike real shotguns, it doesn't have very much range. But that is okay, because a lot of times there will be a few extra enemies hiding in hard-to-get places, and that's what the shotgun is for. Or maybe some enemies are idiots and try to bum rush you. That's also what the shotgun is for. I have this thing about video games where I like to travel through realistic-looking settings with realistic architecture. It's just a fun time for me. So, you know, games like Oni, I love those. But this game is too gamey for me to get that feeling, even though all the settings are somewhat realistic. It feels more like an old arcade game, but, you know, on the PSP instead of in the arcade. Also with drug trading. Yeah. We're still stockpiling a lot of weed, and we haven't done anything with the market yet. We're not going to after this level either, but we will eventually. Something I really value in third-person shooters, and especially in portable third-person shooters, or portable games in general, is the lack of copy-pasted environments. And all of the environments in this game feel individually crafted. I feel Rebellion never really ran out of ideas for furniture placement, for cover placement, and enemy placement. I feel like they had enough ideas to last the whole game. I'm really happy that the game got surprisingly good reviews. I mean, the reviews were middling. Most people found the game to be average, which is weird because I don't know of any other games like this one. But either way, it got decent reviews, which is better than what I expected. This room can be really hard because enemies have a habit of hiding in the cubicle over here in the corner. and then running out whenever you approach them. And if you run back here in this cubicle, you don't have a good vantage point to shoot down any of the enemies. This is what our shotgun is for. This room is really cramped and there's not a lot of places to hide, so the shotgun was made for this. You may have noticed that the game said that the shotgun and pistol give us higher reputation than any of the other guns. And we do need reputation for something special, but let's talk about the guns some more. The harder a gun is to use, the more reputation you get for using it. But I've gotten so good with the pistol and shotgun that I don't ever use anything else. So even though there are other better guns like the submachine gun, or the assault rifle, or carbine, or sniper rifle, I just don't bother with those at all because I need the reputation bonus. There are a lot of things you can do to make the game easier to play in the immediate future. Like you can rush through levels without getting any of the collectibles. Hopefully I can actually kill someone with this explosive barrel. Like you can rush through the levels without getting any of the collectibles, and use the easier to use guns that do more damage. But then you're screwing yourself over in the long run because we need money and reputation to get upgrades. Upgrades that make the game a lot easier. Do you think those two guys in red shirts know that they're clones of each other? They don't seem too bothered by it. Maybe it's hard to be bothered when you're in the middle of a shootout. I always forget that there's nothing back here in this corner. But there is nothing. We really want the flash ram for this level and the next level in particular, but the others we can go without. We're not going to, we're going to get them anyway. But we could theoretically go without them. I'm sorry, I didn't mean this level. I meant the next level. This level's flash ram has nothing important in it. I forgot to turn off the security cameras. I ran right past it. But we want to do that because it lessens the amount of enemies by like 5 or 6. Which isn't a lot to future me, but to past me that was a lot of enemies. In this room there's always this guy on the left, this fucker over here, who has a clear shot at you no matter where you take cover. So we're going to want to shoot him immediately. If you're a few feet away and you use this shotgun, it's pretty much instant death. Like in every situation, no matter where you're shooting at on their body. Headshots do more damage with the shotgun, but you're not going to be in a position where it matters. If you're using the shotgun, you're close enough not to use headshots. If you're using the shotgun properly, that is. There are times when I have unfortunately tried to use the shotgun for long-range engagements. And I learned very quickly that the handgun is actually very powerful. And you don't really need anything besides the handgun and shotgun. We're pretty near the end. Now normally this room is packed with enemies and it's really hard to find a good place to take cover, as you're seeing by the layout right here. But because we disabled the security cameras, this room is clear. No enemies here. Which is, you know, great. For me at least. I'm not sure it's so great for these guys hiding drugs. But they're mostly dead. This room is packed with a whole ton of enemies and it's the most difficult room in the level. I find this is the best place to take cover because you have a decent vantage point over every possible enemy, even the one behind the car. But it's not too close. A lot of the enemies in this room have shotguns. Now submachine guns, pistols, whatever, those are fine. But when enemies start unloading shotgun rounds into you, you're in trouble. So, you know, watch out for that. We could have just run through this room all the way to the exit as we could with most rooms, but we take way more damage doing that than we do just fighting them. They thought ahead about that. You can't just run through everything. That will get you killed.
airstrip they're using to bring the merchandise in.
Welcome back to the world map, or I guess it's just a map of Miami. We do have a new flash ram to hack, and we have new drugs to deal with. Or not new drugs, but just more weed. A lot more weed. We have a lot of weed. So, I'm gonna do this one just to show it off, but it's not necessary by any stretch of the imagination. Submachine guns are easy to use. They're basically a combination of the pistol and the shotgun. Very versatile. The problem is that we don't get a reputation bonus from using them. So it's useless to me. We're just gonna skip to the end of this minigame if that's okay to you, because it's okay, the minigames are okay, but they're not fun to watch. So, yeah. Still not sure exactly how hacking gets us upgrades for guns, but, I mean, if that's how the game says it works. We do want to sell some of our weed. Not too much, but just a bit, so we can buy some more upgrades. We also need to remember to buy information from Freddy. Freddy's information this time has gone up in price. It now costs 2 weeds. Freddy's getting a little full of himself. He's asking for a lot of drugs here. I don't know if we can spare that many weeds. And really, I think that's almost it. I can't remember what I wanted to buy. I guess we're going on this journey together. We're gonna figure out what I wanted to buy together. Was it clothes? Was it more clothes? Yes, it was an upgrade for the reputation suit. Alright. So we're gonna take a look at the description for the next mission, and then we're gonna be done with this video. I'll see you next time.
Hit them hard. Once we know the routes they're using into our airspace, U.S. Customs will be able to intercept them.